They always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is the NFL Final Score on the Real Sports Talk Network. This is our Sunday NFL recap show. So we're going to get right into things. A crazy Sunday in the NFL that included a sprinkler system going off during the game, a player getting ejected for kicking someone in the head, just a crazy week to follow up. A crazy Thursday that involved a quarterback getting kicked in an area that you don't want to be kicked in. First game, the Chicago Bears get Jay Cutler back, and they pick up right where they've been the entire season with Cutler. They improved to 8-3 with a 28-10 win over the Minnesota Vikings, who dropped to 6-5, still in the wild card hunt in the NFC. Brandon Marshall has 12 receptions, 492 yards. The Bears got back on track, and it's nice to see because that Niners loss was embarrassing, but once they get Jay Cutler back, they picked up and they continued to play how they have the entire season. They improved to 8-3. Vikings right now would be the first team out of the playoffs in the NFC, so they're not out of contention. But if the season ended today, they would not make the playoffs. Second game, Browns defeat the Steelers 20-14. Charlie Batch played absolutely atrocious. Ben Roethlisberger out of this game. Byron Leftwich out of this game. You go to the veteran Charlie Batch, he performs terribly, throws 3 interceptions. All 4 running backs on the team then proceed to fumble. Jonathan Dwyer, Chris Rainey, Isaac Redman, and Rashard Mendenhall, they all fumbled to combine for 7 turnovers. And even though Brandon Weeden gets injured, the Browns somehow come away from this one with a win. I mean, it really felt like one of those games where both teams should just get a loss. Instead, Colt McCoy comes in, doesn't even throw one pass, just hands it off the entire time late in this game. The Browns get a 20-14 victory over the Steelers, who, if Ben Roethlisberger does not come back next week, may find themselves out of the playoffs this year. The Bengals get a 34-10 win over the Oakland Raiders. The Bengals improved to 6-5. They're not out of the wild card race in the AFC. The Raiders dropped to 3-8. This was Carson Palmer's return to Cincinnati. We know he asked his way out of there. Even sat out the first 5 games last season. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and AJ Green, or Andy Dalton, I should say, really stole the show, though. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis ran for 129 yards. Andy Dalton throws for 3 touchdowns. Carson Palmer threw a touchdown, but he also threw a pick. He goes 19 of 34 in his return to Cincinnati. The Raiders have just been, they've gone back to being a terrible team. They had a few years there where they were 6-7 wins. They were at least watchable, respectable. They're back to being that unwatchable team again. That's what they've been this season. The Colts, one of those teams that you've had a fun time rooting for. They get a 20-13 win over the Bills to improve to 7-4. The Bills have been the most disappointing team in the NFL to me, besides maybe the Eagles. The Bills dropped to 4-7. You know what? I thought that once Peyton Manning was cut, the Bills or the Colts would have a tough time finding an identity for a few years, because that Peyton Manning era, I should say, was so successful and it would be so hard to follow up. They've found an identity. They've rallied around Chuck Pagano, and nothing says it more than when you have cheerleaders getting their heads shaved before the game in honor of Chuck Pagano. This is a team that has rallied together. Yeah, they've had an easier schedule, but Andrew Luck is having one of the best rookie seasons in NFL history. He goes 20 of 37 for 240 yards today and a touchdown. Reggie Wayne is right in MVP consideration in my mind. He has 8 catches for 102 yards. The Colts have gone from a team that last year didn't even win a game the first 10 weeks of the season. This year, they're 7-4. They've far surpassed anyone's expectations this year. They've been extremely fun to watch. C.J. Spiller for the Bills has 14 carries for 107 yards. He's been about the only bright spot that the Bills have had this season. Speaking of Peyton Manning, Him and the Broncos get another win. They improve to 8-3. They win 17-10 over the Chiefs. The Chiefs drop to 1-10 this season. 17-9 actually. The Chiefs have just been unwatchable. At this point, they're just waiting to draft either Geno Smith or Matt Barkley at that number 1 position. They remain winless at home. The Broncos are basically on cruise control in the AFC West, with the Chargers dropping another one. We'll get to that. They basically have this all locked up in the AFC West. Peyton Manning he's on cruise control for comeback player of the year and potentially his 5th MVP this season. Even though today 285 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, that's not a great game for Peyton Manning. It just adds on to the stats. He's put together another tremendous season. So the Broncos get a 17-9 win over Brady Quinn, who I don't know how he's still in the NFL, let alone starting, and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Miami Dolphins defeat the Seattle Seahawks today. The Dolphins improved to 5-6. The Seahawks dropped to 6-5. Devon Best goes for 7 catches and 129 yards for the Dolphins. Russell Wilson throws for 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, and rushes for 38 yards. He has been a steal out of Wisconsin. People didn't like him because he was undersized, but he has looked extremely good in his rookie year. Unfortunately for him, he's been overshadowed by RG3, Andrew Luck, and Doug Martin. Late in this game, Dan Carpenter gets a winning field goal. The interesting thing in this game was, I think it was in the third quarter, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, the sprinklers out of nowhere went off. People compared it to the Buffalo Wild Wings ad. They said Pete Carroll looked like the guy in the ad. So it was pretty funny to see that happen. Overall, though, it did not get the Seahawks the win today. The Falcons did get yet another win. They improved to 10-1, get a 24-23 win over the Bucs, who dropped to 6-5. They would be, I believe, in the playoffs if the season ended today, or right in the mix. The Falcons pull off just another close win. They continue to do this, pull out these close games. Julio Jones goes for 6 catches, 144 yards. He's actually ended up having a better season than Roddy White, in my opinion. For the Bucs, this has been a team that has been fun to watch because they've been competitive in pretty much every game. This one, they throw a Hail Mary to the end zone and gets picked off at the end of the game, but they were right in it till the last play of this game. They've been a fun team to watch. Doug Martin's had a great rookie season for them. He didn't have a great game today, ran for 50 yards on 21 carries. He did have 2 touchdowns, but they've been a fun team to watch with Vincent Jackson there now. Josh Freeman has picked up his game after a disappointing season last year. So the Bucs have been a fun team to watch. Greg Schiano's done a great job turning them around. The Falcons, I still do not feel like they're an elite team. They have to prove something to me, and maybe that means blowing a few teams out rather than going down to the last second with every single team they play. The Jags get a 24-19 win over the Tennessee Titans. The Jags the last 2 weeks now have looked fairly impressive, or as impressive as you can look when you have Chad Henne as your quarterback. The Jags improved to 2-9. They avoid an 8-game losing streak, which has never happened in their franchise's history. That is their first home win of the season. Chad Henne's been pretty respectable for them the last 2 weeks. He threw 2 touchdowns today, 261 yards. He did have a pick, but he's been pretty impressive for them so far. Cecil Shorts, 105 receiving yards on 4 catches. He had a nice game today. For the Titans, they dropped to 4-7, and it looks like maybe they should head in a different direction at quarterback after this season. Jake Locker throws a touchdown and 2 picks. It was a leap to take him that early in the draft, and we are seeing why now, as he just has not panned out through the first 2 seasons. The Rams improved to 4-6-1 with a 31-17 win over the Cardinals, who after starting 4-0 have dropped 7 in a row. Steven Jackson for the Rams rushes for 139 yards. Lindley, he throws for over 400 yards for the Cardinals, but the lack of a quarterback who cannot turn the ball over has been what's killed the Cardinals. He throws 4 interceptions, and I do not know why he was throwing the ball 52 times today, but he did. He throws it 52 times, does rack up some yards, but in the end, 4 picks is not usually going to be good enough to win the game unless you're Matt Ryan last week, where he throws 5 picks and is able to win the game. It's usually not going to be good enough. Kevin Kolb may not be a great quarterback, but what he did at the beginning of the year was he was able to manage the game a little bit better than Lindley or John Skelton has done, and that's why the Cardinals have struggled to win games since then, and that's why they're on a 7-game losing streak. The 49ers get a 31-21 win over the Saints. They improved to 8-1. The Saints dropped to 5-6. And they look like they're probably not going to make the playoffs at this point. Drew Brees throws 3 touchdowns, but he got swallowed up, including throwing 2 interceptions to this 49ers defense. Justin Smith, Deshaun Goldson, Aldon Smith, Carlos Rogers, Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, Dante Whitner. This defense is stacked. They're mean. They're talented, and they are a fun group to watch. No question about it. Colin Kaepernick in his second start, he goes 16-25 with a touchdown and a pick, 27 rush yards. I like what I see out of him. I like his ability to extend the play, although I think sometimes he holds on to the ball too long, forces it unnecessarily, and I think because he's able to get away, avoid pressure, I think sometimes that's why he holds on to it too long. He trusts himself a little bit too much, and I think that that's not what they need right now. I think Alex Smith isn't as good as Colin Kaepernick talent-wise, but he's better at managing the game, and that's why I was still in favor of keeping Alex Smith in there. I think Colin Kaepernick is not going to be a guy that can win you a Super Bowl, because I have a feeling he's going to throw a big interception or hold on to the ball too long and fumble it on a sack, something like that. I think he needs to develop the ability to know when a play is dead and throw it away earlier. That's the one thing I didn't like out of his game. I think he's going to be a nice player for the 49ers for a long time to come. I'm just not sure he's the right piece for them at this very moment. One final note out of that game, Broderick Bunkley ejected after kicking, I believe, is Alex Barron in the head. Broderick Bunkley, no love lost for him. I'm an Eagles fan. I hate Broderick Bunkley because he was a bust here. We'll see. He might get suspended. I think the NFL's a little bit more concerned about what they're going to do with Ndamukong Suh this week. But Broderick Bunkley, late in this game, his frustrations boil over and he kicks someone in the head. That's just stupid. 49ers get the win. They look like they're going to pretty easily win that NFC West unless the 49ers are really choke and the Seahawks really go on a run, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Final game, the Baltimore Ravens improved to 9-2 with a 16-13 win over the Chargers, who are 4-7, pretty much clinched the end of the A.J. Smith, Norv Turner era today. Justin Tucker gets a game-winning field goal, but the Chargers were up by 10 in the fourth quarter, and then they're able to get a touchdown, and then all of a sudden Ray Rice on 4th and 29 is able to get by 5 Chargers defenders and get the first down, get them into field goal position for Justin Tucker, who is one of the best rookie kickers I've ever seen, to tie the game, gets to overtime, and then late in overtime they're able to win the game. Torrey Smith got them in position to win the game with a tremendous catch. He had over 140 yards receiving today. He has really stepped up and looks like he's going to be a legit receiver in this league for a long time to come. The Chargers era is pretty much over. I don't know if that means Phillip Rivers is included in that, but really when you look around the Chargers team, besides Phillip Rivers, there's only Eric Weddle, Sean Phillips. Those are pretty much the only guys that I look at and say are untouchable on this roster. Other than that, the Chargers need to go in a different direction. They need to get a more consistent running back. They need to get some bigger receivers, and they don't have it there now, and that's why this season has been an extreme disappointment if you're a San Diego Chargers fan. That was another crazy week in the NFL, recapped on the NFL Final Score. I'm Tim Kelly. You can follow me on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST. Like The Real Sports Talk on Facebook, Facebook.com/The Real Sports Talk. Check out my site, TheRealSportsTalk.com. No, I didn't even drink coffee before this video, and I was just able to kill it for that time. And because I'm able to do that, please subscribe above, and I'll see you guys later.
Just a little ways around the corner from fear. Be there.